St. Pete leaders seek change after 2 killed in a single day. Now, the reason why I want to focus on this is because there is so much talk about whiteness being a pandemic, white supremacy being the problem. You are going to see in this story that white people don't have nothing to do with the turmoil in this community in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I want to bring your attention that this city in Florida is just a small microcosm of bigger problems like Chicago. We are all aware of the gun violence in Chicago, Illinois. We are all aware that gangs and violence are running rampant. In a smaller respect, St. Pete, Florida has that same problem, which I'm going to show you, which has city council people starting to wake up and saying, what the hell are we doing? We got to stop this. All right. And just very prominent people in the community speaking out. But as we said, St. Pete leaders seek to change after 2 killed in a single day. So this young lady right here, Kamaya Simmons, 21, was shot while holding her 1-year-old daughter Tuesday. Police said she was the target of the shooting. Now, I watched this in my local news, which is why I came across it. If I wasn't bringing this out to the public, to the greater public, this story would not be in the rotation. This story would not even, it would hit the Tampa, St. Pete, Bradenton, Clearwater, Polk County, all these counties. It would hit our area, but it would really get overlooked. So I wanted to show you guys just how much violence is normal in St. Petersburg, Florida. So detectives are working to solve the 12th homicide in the city of St. Pete in this year. City leaders gathered on Wednesday to call on the community to stop the violence. All right. And I'm going to play some clips by Police Chief Anthony Holloway. So the St. Pete Police Chief Anthony Holloway, and his words are extremely convicting because he doesn't make any excuses to anybody else. This is our problem. All right. Some of the things he says is the victims of these 12 homicides are all African American, Holloway said. 11 were killed by gunshot. Every one of the suspects are African American. As an African American man, so Anthony Holloway is an African American man, this pains me. All right. So moving on a little bit. So the story brought to us, all right, by one of our news anchors, Georgia Roman. But here is a story. Here's the pictures of the young woman who was shot and killed on the side of the road while she was holding her 1-year-old daughter. So her life is over. And I want to really focus on Police Chief Anthony Holloway because he cuts to the chase. He keeps it real. Like, this is, everybody wants to talk about whiteness, white supremacy, all this oppression, blah, blah, blah. It's really a conspiracy theory when you think about it. If you really think the United States of America is holding you back, you believe in a conspiracy theory. All right. Listen to the chief police of St. Petersburg, Florida. Just give it to people straight.
We as a community need to stop these senseless killings. The victims of these 12 homicides are all African Americans. 11 were killed by gunshot. Every one of the suspects are African Americans. As an African American, this pains me. We are hurting as a community. Many lives are being affected. The lives of the victims, the lives of the families, and the lives of the suspects' families. We as a community.
So as you guys can see, he's not cutting any corners. He's not blaming anyone. He is just going in exactly what it is. In this in this other clip, he talks about how we got to fix the problem. Our young men, our young boys, the way that they think about solving problems is gun violence. And it's a little bit of a mystery as to how do we stop this. When you think about one of the main culprits of the problem is these boys and young men don't have men in their lives to show them any different. So all they know is the street life. All they know is the thug life. All they know is if I get into a situation that I don't like enough, I'm going to pull this trigger.
The biggest thing that we see right now, we got some great programs out there, but how do we get these young men to put these guns down and have a conversation instead of shooting their way out of an argument or a disagreement.
So I mean that right there is so, to me, that is so powerful, and it speaks directly to the problem. He's asking the right question. How do we get our young men to put the guns down and to not shoot themselves out of every situation? That is the questions we should be asking. We should not be talking about whiteness, white privilege, conspiracy theory, all of these things. We should be talking about the actual things holding back communities of color. And in this neighborhood, in St. Pete, all right, this is a big problem. Gun violence is killing young Black residents of Florida every single day, every week. Things are happening, and it has to do with a lack of honestly, a lack of vision for one's life. That is something that's missing, and a breakdown of the family. So listen to him again, because this is golden. Everybody who wants to talk about white privilege and all this other stuff I keep alluding to, listen, because this man is speaking truth. We have to get these kids out of the mindset of shooting themselves out of every situation.
The biggest thing that we see right now, and we got some great programs out there, but how do we get these young men to put these guns down and have a conversation instead of shooting their way out of an argument or a disagreement? That's
Wow. So, yes, he's asking all the right questions. His heart is in the right place. He's not blaming anybody else. He's not taking a page out of the Roots publication. Oh, this is all because of whiteness. Oh, well, all this stuff that happened. Oh, slavery. This is a product of slavery. What happened to this young woman is a product of gang and gun violence. It is a product of lawlessness that is within that community. It has nothing to do with anything else. So, moving on with the article, 2 of the homicides occurred on March 30th. So yesterday, 2 homicides happened. First, 19-year-old DeQuaz Davis was shot and killed on Fargo Street South. 2 suspects have been arrested. A few hours later, 21-year-old Kamaya Simmons was shot and killed. Police say the shootings were unrelated. Holloway said Simmons, who was not the intended target, was holding her 1-year-old daughter at the time of the shooting. So this young mother is standing on the side of the road. All right. She's holding her daughter, and dudes or maybe another female, who knows, rolls up on her and shoots her, opens fire, starts spraying her with a child in her hand. And her 2-year-old daughter was in the backseat. Okay, they weren't standing on the side of the road. From what I saw today in the news clip, the reporter was standing on the side of the road, but so she was in the car. Nonetheless, she has her kids with her, and they spray her anyways. So Simmons was in the passenger seat of a car stopped at the intersection of 18th Avenue South and 22nd Street South. So, correction, she's sitting in her car with her children, and people just come up and spray the car. And the Democratic Party wants to talk about white people nonstop, racism nonstop. What about black on black crime nonstop in St. Petersburg? Like the chief said, all right, Chief Holloway, 12 homicides this year, and we're not even out of March yet. They're all Black. The people who killed them, all Black. Holloway said the man who was driving took the 2 children after Simmons was shot, left the scene, and brought them to a family member's house. Detectives want to speak with him and anyone else who may have information about who shot Simmons. Kraisman and Holloway said they're working on new initiatives to help stop gun violence. Now, can we just keep it real right here? Can we just keep it real? Like, this is great, and this is obviously what you want people to do, is initiatives to stop gun violence. But you know what the real initiative is? Restore the home, restore the family dynamic, restore a father and a mother raising their children, restore a man showing his son that guns are not for violence. Restore that. What about those initiatives? Restore a high esteem of being married and staying married and having kids in wedlock. We want to always say it the other way around. How about we esteem having kids in wedlock? Because I'm willing to bet you that all of these suspects that pulled these triggers and killed these African American citizens, killed these black citizens in St. Petersburg, Florida, I'm willing to bet out of the 12 that all of them were born out of wedlock, born without a father who showed them what they should be doing, how to process their anger, all of these things. So thank you for the initiatives, but at the end of the day, this is a cultural, personal problem. When the young boys and young men start shooting off, it's because men and families in their lives failed them. So you want a new initiative? Focus on the family, and then you will see gun violence be completely tapered off, because these are just a bunch of blind people walking, and all they know is irrational violence when they lose control. Council member Lisa Wheeler Bowman joined them Wednesday in calling for the end of violence. No one should have to lose their loved one to senseless gun violence, but no one wants to stand up and do the right thing, and I'm sick of it, said Wheeler Bowman. All right, anyone with information about Simmons' case is asked to contact Crime Stoppers. A $5,000 reward. So as you guys could see, I wanted to start off with this story because it is a crying shame that this young 21-year-old black woman was shot and killed while her children were in her presence, and she was shot and killed by another black man. And the whole narratives of the day is, oh, we blame white people for everything. But how about this? It's time we take self-responsibility for our communities and for ourselves. It's almost as if we're in an age where we're saying goodbye to self-responsibility. It is always somebody else's fault. So with all that said, Kamaya Simmons, we should keep her family in our prayers. And this is overall a sad dealing. And like I said, this is close to home because it is in the Tampa Bay area. So overall, this is a sad story, but I want to really contrast this, like I said, with the whole false narrative of whiteness being the root of all evil. So take what you will with that. At the end of the day, this is a sad story, and our hearts should be broken either way.